Scooby-Doo and Shaggy, two fearless warriors.
Looks like our reputation precedes us.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
Today we're covering Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword.
And this particular Scooby-Doo movie was requested by Rascal family member Mega TriStar 22 Productions, or STAR!
Yes! And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, with occasionally on future podcasts and other Paws videos.
Absolutely. And originally she was supposed to join us for this podcast, but how things turned out, she wasn't able to, but she will be with us on a future podcast.
Yes.
So, we know most of you have heard of this movie and probably seen it. We have seen it, but it been some time ago that we actually watched it and owned it at one time.
Exactly, right. And it definitely needed a rewatch because we've seen so many Scooby-Doo movies over the years and shows and live action adaptations and spin-offs that it got lost in just about all the other movies. And this was made around the time they were having What's New Scooby-Doo, and they were having more specifically themed Scooby movies.
This was a 2009 direct-to-DVD, considered animated comedy, mystery, martial arts film.
Okay.
And it was the 13th in the series of, I guess, home release DVDs. And it sold over 500,000 copies.
Wow. So it was pretty popular.
And at this time, we still had the voice acting talents of Casey Kasem and Mindy Cohn.
Right.
It was fairly new at that time.
Right.
And then we had some favorites that we knew, like Kelly Hu,
right,
Kevin Michael Richardson,
yes,
George Takei.
Of course, right. And it was pretty cool to see all these people that we really loved hearing in animation be in this movie together, too. So for this movie, Scooby Gang traveled to Tokyo. And at first there really is no mystery. It's just they're taking a vacation. I don't know how they drove there, but they did. It's assumed they flew there, but somehow they drove. Because I think they had that van in there at some point. So I don't know how they did that. And as they're there, they come across this girl who tells them about an ancient martial arts training ground that Daphne ends up being a part in. And the thing is about this movie is that it kind of jumps from thing to thing pretty quickly. I guess, to keep your attention going and just getting to all the good parts. They end up going to the mystery of the Black Samurai, and he's supposed to be something haunted and wants his sword back that's been in a museum. So he's been terrorizing parts of Tokyo to get his sword back. And this ended up taking the route of those 90s Scooby-Doo movies where you're thinking of someone else that wants to sell the sword for money, and it actually is the Black Samurai, and it really is haunted. So this was one of the few times, they hadn't done it in a while at this time, where the monster was real.
True. And this was also, as you mentioned, What's New Scooby-Doo was the last movie connected to that series.
Right.
And it was the last time Casey Kasem voiced Shaggy. He retired in 2010.
Right.
So this made it an even more special movie when you think in terms of watching it. It was the last of quite a few things for this franchise.
Right.
And as you said, it was also one of the rare times that the ghost or spook or entity was actually real and not a figment of someone's imagination or some type of scam to get some money.
Right.
Or something.
And in here, you could tell it's a little slightly dated, and it is not so much as it's terrible to watch. It's not a terrible movie at all. It's just that at the time it came out, if some things feel a little odd seeing them in the portrayal of Japan and characters, this was made in 2009, and the knowledge of Japan wasn't as vast as it is now with people wanting to know so much about Japan and watching anime and manga and constantly have an influx of Japanese culture and influence. So when this was made, it was rather limited for the writers. So when you see some things in here, especially in the music where the songs consist of konnichiwa, sayonara, thank you, goodbye, everyone, and just basic sentences, please know that it's just to be silly.
At the time time, that's what was done.
Right.
And also in this movie, there was a mixture of cultures. They were in Japan, it said, but
Right.
there were a lot of things when you look at it, it's like, that's Chinese, or that's a Chinese building,
Yeah.
or that's a Chinese item of clothing, and it stuck out when
Right.
you're watching it. And again, when you're a kid or younger, before getting immersed in Japanese culture or even caring about these things, it's
Right.
just a fun movie. So that's the way it should be taken, as being fun.
Right.
And something different that was done for the Scooby-Doo at that time. They hadn't done where they traveled to other lands
Right.
in order to solve mysteries.
Right.
So again, this was a first as well as a last in many things.
Right.
So in here you've got Scooby and Shaggy being crazy as ever, eating their way through another country.
Right. And then at the end, they end up being the ones that having to save everybody.
Right.
And they always end up being the ones the least likely to save somebody, and then they do. Either in charge of a destiny, or they have ancient powers, or they're always usually the bait, and now they gotta be the hero. So I guess they gave them, let's give them a break and let them be the heroes this time.
Well, Shaggy was the bait, and Scooby's the bait for the bait, or
Oh.
vice versa.
No, you didn't.
But it was fun to rewatch this because really I've forgotten a lot of it. We have watched a ton of Scooby-Doo films,
Right.
separately and together. And it was like, Sword. I was very happy when she asked us to watch it because I was like, I'm not sure I remember that one. And then once we started, oh yeah, I remember seeing this one. And then looked on Amazon and we actually owned it. Don't know what happened to it.
Right.
But at one point we did own it. It was fun seeing them carry out solving the mystery in the way in which they did. You had Fred, who this time wasn't trap making and the one who had all the answers to everything,
Right.
which is also very different for this particular movie.
Right. Not knowing that they would end up doing this much, much later in the franchise. Because Fred's thing usually just the traps, but this time there was really nothing from the trap. Everything was either a specter or a robot, that none of the traps would work with it.
Right.
So ended up having to have everybody else figure out a way to stop the samurai instead of just resorting to the traps or splitting up. So all of their usual tactics weren't going to work this time.
And I like some of the scenes, like when Daphne was in the martial arts tournament and she went up against, what's her name, Mary Moto?
I think so. Or was it Mei Lee?
Was she Sapphire Sonia or Miss Mary Moto? Or Miyumi?
Miyumi,
Right.
yeah.
And it was so funny because of course they were referencing Bruce Lee, China.
Right.
And Daphne, they were like, oh, you've got good form. Oh, you're doing well. Oh, you're surprised. And all of a sudden the girl starts cheating.
Right.
She's like, you cheated. There's no cheating in winning. And it was
Like-
so funny because you saw Daphne in a different light than you had seen her in other movies up to this time.
Right.
Because before it was danger-prone Daphne and so forth.
Right.
But in here, she had mad martial arts skills. She wasn't afraid of anything. And she was ready for the challenge. So that was a different take on her. I also love how everybody's kimonos or their clothing in the dojo match the colors they normally wear. I thought it was so funny. That
They're
reminds
still
me-
wearing it.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Everyone's clothes are matching what they normally wear. The colors, I should say, matching what they wear anyway. And there were little scenes within here that had these fun parts that reminded you of other mysteries or things that they normally do
Right.
that were built in within here.
Right.
And of course, Kelly Hugh, we thought she was the villain at first.
Yeah, we really did. And then as the movie went on, more stuff was revealed, some little twists and turns and things. So they managed to put out something different. It wasn't the first person you see as being the culprit,
Right.
which is rare for Scooby-Doo to do anyway.
And Kevin Michael Richardson as the Black Samurai was a really good choice. His voice always fits when there's a type of
Like
type
a
of
booming presence.
booming presence, and large characters in terms of their presence and what they do. He was a perfect fit. And George Takei was a nice surprise as Old Man
Yes.
Samurai. So this was a really fun movie to watch. The solving of the mystery was kind of what you're normally used to. You know they're going to
Yeah.
solve it by the end of the movie. I think
Right.
the movie's 77 minutes.
Right, and there really wasn't too
74
much.
minutes.
Right, and there really wasn't a huge mystery left because the monster was real, so there was no unmasking and seeing how everything was put together to look real. The goal was to try to stop the samurai from taking over everything.
So the best part in seeing this is reliving your childhood, like
Yes.
Star. Also, just seeing Scooby-Doo movies that were fun to watch and entertaining.
Right.
And that's what they were meant for. Hearing some of the voice actors who are gone,
Mm-hmm.
that either have retired or have passed on, who you loved in the roles. Hearing some favorites that we liked. And just having a good time watching the kooky capers of Scooby and Shaggy the rest of the game.
Right.
So if you've seen Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword, let us know what you think in the comments below. Is this one of your childhood favorites? Or have you not seen it amidst all of the release DVD home releases? And
Yes.
this is one you've missed out. Take a look and come back and let us know what you think. It is available to buy on Amazon, and I think you can stream it on Prime.
Yes, I think so.
$3.99.
Yeah,
So
and probably on Redbox as well.
So it's easy to find. Come back and let us know what you think.
Right, and if you haven't already, subscribe for updates, weekly reviews of favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Star, for requesting this. And we're sorry you couldn't join us, but we look forward to your joining us on another podcast of your choosing. And if you would like to request a review or a podcast on a particular series or movie or show, let us know in the comments below. We appreciate you so much.
Yes, so thank you so much for watching Rask Entertainment.
And the Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.